Spencer Callahan is the one to see. Call 387-2323.
LA filing number 16-7970.
WNXX Jackson, KNXX Donaldsonville, and WDGL HD2 Baton Rouge. This hour brought to you by Spencer Callahan Injury Lawyers. LA 21-12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in! Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Football Friday. That means it's brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. That whole work week just about in the rearview mirror. It's time for some football. If you're still on the clock, we'll get you to the finish line. If not, enjoy that weekend. And we're fired up that you're hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Got Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. Preston Guy, 15 minutes from right now. Get you ready for the NFL weekend to come after Preston is done there at 1:15. We'll also get my SEC picks against the spread at the top of the second hour. Got to make my final picks on the Saints and Eagles as well as LSU and UCLA. So a big Friday show. Appreciate you hanging out with us. I know plenty of y'all are heading in from around the state for the first big home weekend of the year. Be safe out there and lock us in. We'll be here for the next 2 hours on the Hunt Palmer Show. A lot has been made about LSU and UCLA this week and how quickly or not quickly these two teams have started. UCLA has been abysmal in the first half. They did not score a point in the first half against Hawaii. That's a joke. They only scored 7 on a late touchdown there against Indiana in a game they were getting run off the field. And they were down 14-0 in that game before 5 minutes had run off the clock. That's a terrible way to start football games, both offensively and defensively for UCLA. And yeah, LSU got off to a bad start against Nicholls. There's no doubt about it. When you consider the opponent an FCS team and you sputter a little bit offensively and you kind of let Nicholls get moving on offense, that's a slow start. And then you saw what happened in Columbia. I mean, that was an avalanche there for the better part of the first quarter. South Carolina goes right down the field, 7 plays. They're getting 10 a play every play through the air, on the ground. They go right in for a touchdown. You come out, you're completely feckless offensively. They come back down and get a field goal. Then you try to punt on your next offensive drive and you get it blocked. I mean, it was offense, defense, and special teams. All of it was terrible in the game to start for South Carolina and LSU. But I don't necessarily believe that this LSU team is not ready to play. I don't necessarily believe that they are slow starters. I think that you can manipulate the numbers and the scores a little bit from that perspective because you all remember the first drive LSU had against Southern Cal, the first game of the season. You come out, the first 2 plays were both Nussmeier to Lacey 15-yard gains. You had 30 yards after 2 plays. Nussmeier hit C.J. Daniels for 5 yards. They went for a 4th and 2 and picked that up to Kyron Lacey. Continued to march down the field. Nussmeier to Lacey. You remember that first drive? I mean, they could not cover Kyron Lacey. He continued to chew up yards. They hit Mason Taylor for a big 13-yard gain. Josh Williams actually had a 12-yard run on that first drive, which was something we didn't see very much of after that. But you drove the ball right down the field and got the ball down and 1st and goal from the 8. You had it 4th and goal from the 3, and we know that story. LSU decided to go for it instead of take the points. But that was a very efficient drive. It was a very effective drive. They hit a couple of runs. They hit a lot of passes. They got their best player involved. I thought they were ready to go in that game. I can sit here and give you a bit of a pass on Nicholls. I don't want to. I don't like doing that. But I can give you a little bit of a pass on Nicholls being that spot on the schedule. And in South Carolina, you knew you were going into a Hornets Nets. We talked about that all last week. We talked about the fact that South Carolina was going to be fired up to play. They were coming off a huge win over Kentucky. Game day was there for the first time in a decade. They were going to sell that place out. LSU doesn't show up there. They hadn't been in there in 16 years. It's a big national brand. Here come the Gamecocks. Let's play. And LSU did a terrible job of responding to that, but it is understandable as well. There's no real reason why you don't get off to a good start in this game. You should get off to a really good start in this game against UCLA. They're not good. You're at home. You're coming off a comeback win. And I'll tell you, the demeanor of the guys that we talked to this week was a very positive one. They were very, very excited on offense and defense. And I think these guys are going to be ready to play. I expect LSU to come out and throw a couple punches early in this game against UCLA. The question is, will UCLA punch back? And we're talking about offense here, and I want to transition over to the defense, which also needs to start fast. There's no way, two ways about it. But the defense in this game, it's a great litmus test because I cannot take anything positive if you dominate Nichols. I cannot take anything positive the last 2 years when you dominate Southern and Grambling. I can maybe take some positives away if you can put the clamps on UCLA. Now, keep in mind, I'm not trying to oversell this. UCLA's offensive numbers are abysmal. Abysmal. There's no other way to describe it. They are number 126 of 134 in scoring offense, 124th in total offense, 122nd in rushing offense, and 85th in passing offense. That's terrible across the board. They don't move the ball. They don't run the ball. They don't throw the ball. They don't score the ball. They don't do any of it. It's bad. But I believe this is more an indictment on Eric Bieniemy than anything. And we talked about him a little bit yesterday. I believe he has dropped into Westwood and scrambled everyone's brains because they don't know what they're doing. Ethan Garbers is a fifth-year senior who has had some success as a college quarterback. UCLA won games with him under center last year. Yes, they had one of the better defenses in the country, but they won games with him under center. He was fairly productive. He was efficient. He made things happen. He looked good in the USC game last year. Now, they're bad defense, but he's been okay. He looks terrible. Looks completely lost. TJ Harden and Keegan Jones were running backs on this UCLA team last year that ran the ball really well. They led the Pac-12 in rushing. They've got some talent at running back. 3 of those offensive linemen are back that they were running behind. Enrico Flores and J. Michael Sturdivant are quality talents at wide receiver. And they can't move the ball at all. I gave you those numbers. But they do have some personnel. And if LSU doesn't fit the runs right, or doesn't play well in man coverage, or loses contain on a zone, or miscommunicates, these guys are talented enough to make you pay for that. They are. They haven't done it to Hawaii or Indiana, but they can. Nichols did. So if you allow a team that can't move the ball in Hawaii and can't move the ball on Indiana, then you got real problems. But it's not as if they're completely feckless on offense. This reminds me very much of last year, about this time on the calendar, when LSU played Mississippi State in Starkville. You knew at that point that Will Rogers was very likely at that point to become the SEC's all-time leading passer. That's not because he's a significantly better player than Peyton Manning, who doesn't have that record, by the way, but you get the point. It was because he played for Mike Leach, but he knew what he was doing throwing the football in college. He had been doing it for 4 years. And you went up to Starkville and you're like, well, he hadn't looked great. They got a new offense. Obviously, Leach is not there anymore, and they're trying to transition away from the air raid. And but he can still play a little bit. But he looked like he had no idea what was going on. That's what this group looks like. Ethan Garbers, TJ Harden, Keegan Jones, Rico Flores, J. Michael Sturden, all these guys under the direction of their new big-name offensive coordinator, Eric Bieniemy, don't look like they have any idea what they're doing, which allows LSU to play on the offensive. That starts early, and that continues throughout the game. LSU looks disruptive. And if they can be disruptive, you can force this UCLA team to look like garbage. Like, that opportunity is out there. And that's what you're hoping to see in this game. Early impact from the defensive front, slow the run game down, which hasn't gotten going. They're 122nd in the country in rushing yards. Get after the passer, force some mistakes. Garbers has made them. And cover up these pretty talented wide receivers. They're not going to be first-round picks, but they're functional out there. UCLA just hasn't been able to use them yet. That's the coach's fault. But don't take any prisoners. Go get it done. We all want to believe that this defense is going to make strides as time goes on. We hoped that about last year's, and they really didn't. I'm going to hold out hope for this year because I think they're better coached. And for LSU to accomplish anything this year, to beat anybody of substance this year, the defense is going to have to take 2 or 3 steps forward. The offense is going to have to take a step or 2 forward too, but the defense is going to have to take 3, 4, 5 steps forward. They've got some youth out there that could improve. They've got good coaches who have a track record of development, and this needs to be the first step in doing that. You don't get a ton of credit, even though you were a little bit better than last year against USC. They still did what they wanted to in the second half. You get no credit for anything that went on in the Nichols game. I thought it was terrible. Awful. Brian Kelly said, oh, we stopped in the last few drives. I don't care. They're Nichols. Don't care. South Carolina? Yeah, you did slow them down. You held them to 1 yard in the third quarter because your offense held the ball for 11-plus minutes, and they put their backup quarterback in there who stinks on ice. I'm not giving you too much credit for that. Thanks for making those big plays late. Good job. But you're not getting a ton of credit for it. And this is not going to be an earth-shattering performance, but if you can impose your will on this group, that'll be a step in the right direction. And I think LSU potentially has the pieces to do that. It needs to start at the beginning of the game with the crowd in it, game plan firing, and then keep the pressure on as the day goes. I'm not too concerned about the offense. I think they'll score. I'm really not all that concerned about winning the game because I think they will do that. Let me rephrase that. It's the only thing that really matters is you win the game. I'm not concerned that LSU won't win the game. I think they will. I said that poorly, but you get the point. I want to see this defense come out and shut this veteran UCLA offense down because these are all vets. None of these guys are freshmen or second-year players. They're old guys. And if you're out of position, they will hurt you there. Don't be out of position. You're at home. You're a better team. This team is completely lost. They're probably at a very fragile piece in terms of their psyche. Just turn it up. Go get them. That's what you've got to see from this LSU defense coming up on Saturday afternoon in Death Valley. All right, let's know what our broadcast schedule is going to be. 2:30 scheduled kickoff time. I'll just let you know a little secret. 2:45 is the actual kickoff time. But we'll do everything as if 2:30 is the kickoff time. So that means 9:30 it'll be is that right? Yeah, 9:30. I never can do that math when you get noon involved. 9:30 is when Eagle 98 Point Game Day will start up from Rouse's, Burbank, and Lee. That's Charles Handegriff and Matt Musso. They'll go for 3 hours. They will hand it off to me on the LSU Sports Radio Network. It'll be myself and Marlon Favorite from between the Rams at the Assembly Center at 12:30, leading up to about 2 o'clock. We'll toss to the broadcast team inside the stadium. They'll have the call of the game 30 minutes after it goes final inside Tiger Stadium. We'll be on the Fighting Tiger postgame report on the LSU Sports Radio Network. 90 minutes after the game goes final, Charles Handegriff and Richard Dixon from right here in this Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio will broadcast Eagle 98.1's postgame show, taking your calls and interactions. Should be a fun Saturday. We'll set the table for that coming up with our SEC picks in hour number 2. Still got to tell you about what's going on in the National Football League at 1:30 when we come back. Preston Guy, TigerBait.com, talking some football with us on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Make LeBear's Baton Rouge your game day headquarters this season. They've got the biggest screens around, and now you can bet and dine at ESPN Bet in person. Awesome opportunity pregame to get by, place a few wagers, watch a little early morning football, then get on into campus, and maybe on the way out, pick up your winnings. It'd be quite the day. Also, want to invite you to download the Cover 5 app because you can compete against me. I'm doing okay. I'm in the top 25. There are about 90 active users. Go ahead and play the SEC's Cover 5 contest. Enter the code LABRSEC24. You've got access to my picks. They're on Twitter right now. So you can see what I'm doing. You can fade it, or you can pick 5 SEC games of your choosing and see if you can beat me and win some weekly and season-long prizes. If you're not a member, get the Pin Play app today. LeBear's Baton Rouge, your live sports headquarters. Must be 21 years or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966 for help.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has back-to-school savings like $16,000 off 25 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $16,000 off. All new.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Rolling along, Football Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Corks Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Invite you to go to corksfishandshrimp.com. You do that, and you click catering over there on the left. They've got all your catering options right there on the menu. They got the Corks Party Pack. They got the Seafood and Salad Buffet, Pork Chop Buffet. They got Caesar Salad by the pan. If you're headed out to tailgate for LSU or the Saints or hosting a watch party at the house, maybe feeding the office during the week, whatever the case may be, Corks is happy to do your catering for you, and we're thrilled that they're part of our Friday shows each and every week. Check them out, corksfishandshrimp.com. Preston Guy, tigerbait.com, with us every Friday talking football here on the Hunt Palmer Show. Joins us now on the jimsfirearms.net hotline. Preston, how we doing?
All right, what's going on, man? Condolences to not wearing the white on yellows tomorrow. I know you'll be mourning.
Yeah, it's not the best. As I said yesterday, I'll live with the gold helmets and the purple jerseys and the gold pants. It's not my preferred, but I will live with it. You start throwing crazy alternate stuff. Hester and T-Bob were talking about the icy whites today. Hester liked the abomination that was the white pants, white jerseys, gold helmets that was like 2 years ago when we looked like Lutcher High School out there. It was awful. I like the classics, and I'm disappointed they're robbing us of the powder blues on the classic whites, but this is okay. I'm not going to throw a fit, I promise.
You know, I would have actually lost my mind if they did the icy whites for LSU and the powder blue for UCLA. That would have been my dream uniform matchup, but I know I'm
the icy whites are your dream?
Against that powder blue? Are you kidding me, dude? That would be tough gift.
This is not off to a good start. We're not off to a good start, Preston. All right, let's get into it. What side of the coin are you on from last Saturday? They gutted one out from down 17, or South Carolina's not very good and you shouldn't have been in that situation to begin with?
Well, let's start with some sunshine pumping, because that's always a good place to start. If you look at what South Carolina's accomplished, they beat the hell out of Kentucky. Well, then Kentucky took, as Brian Kelly pointed out, they were really one fourth down conversion away from beating Georgia, if we're being honest, down the end. So maybe Kentucky's actually a pretty good team, and South Carolina's, I think there's some evidence because they got a gnarly defensive line, and they've got some good things. I just think their passing attack is not very good. So I think South Carolina was a decent football team, but you also got lucky to win that game. You really did. Their quarterback got hurt, and their backup quarterback, Robbie Ashford, just couldn't do a darn thing. And then all the evidence is pointing toward that, USC looks like a really good team. They beat the crud out of Utah State 48-0, which you say, okay, well, it's Utah State. Well, They didn't get beat 48-0 when they played Utah. So if you look at what their opponents have done this year, there's some evidence that they're both pretty good football teams. However, that being said, that doesn't excuse LSU looking just dreadful at times and not being able to get yardage when you need. The bright spot was Caden Durham, who's 98 yards, made him the leading rusher this season for LSU, by the way. He's got 102 yards on the season, and he's the leading rusher by 30 yards on this team. So that just kind of shows you how anemic your rush attack has been. So maybe there's some things you can build on, but there's definitely a lot of red flags out there that are very obvious.
What are your thoughts on Caleb Jackson, since you mentioned Caden Durham?
Well, here's the deal. He's up to 235, and I think that let's argue his top speed is the same. I think there's clearly some acceleration issues. It's like putting a V8 in a big truck versus, a V6 in a sports car, Maybe that big old truck will get up there eventually, but the acceleration does take a hit, right? Here's the disappointing part about it. It seems like he doesn't have great core balance. I can't tell you how many times I've seen him run in the backside of one of his own linemen, and he just sits down. What made Caden Durham different was not his open field speed, which I think we all know is fantastic. It's that he took a hit and he kept on pumping his legs and went forward. If the running backs on this team would fall forward and just fight for a few more yards after contact, your running game would improve exponentially. There's really no excuse to just get, to sit right down when you're a back at LSU. So, yes, the offensive line needs to take a lot of heat for the job they've done, but at a certain point, you really have to look at these running backs as well and say, hey, man, if you're going to be 235 pounds, I need you to be a bull. I need you to throw some guys instead of just sitting down.
What kind of help can Chris Hilton be?
Oh, well, I think if he's healthy, a big help. But at this point, the inconsistency of him to stay healthy, anything you get out of Chris Hilton, you just need to consider that like a bonus, extra. Now, he can stretch the field better than any of the receivers that I've seen. And we all saw in fall camp, every time Chris Hilton's been in the field with Garrett Nussmeier also on the field, they have excellent chemistry. So I think getting him back would be awesome. But you also have to get him back at 100%. Not 90% able to play. You need him being a deep ball threat, because currently that is something that these receivers are lacking. Is they're not really guys who can go out there and run a fade and stretch the field or burst a seam in between zone coverages like Chris Hilton can. So I would like that, if for nothing else, to add a dynamic threat. To say, you've got these guys, Kyron Lacey and C.J. Daniels, who are great shifty route runners and catch the ball underneath. But you also have to cover this guy over the top, so you can't just go out there and, run underneath coverages. You can't just run cover two all day. You're going to have to do some things to stop Chris Hilton downfield. So it'd be great, but I'm just telling you, when a guy's been as hurt as often as he's been, don't rely on it. Just consider it extra.
Preston Guy, TigerBait.com, with us every Friday here on the Hunt Palmer Show. Let's go to the defense. What did you see from the defensive tackle situation post-Guillory in Columbia?
Yeah, I mean, clearly there were some lapses. They rotated a lot of guys, definitely. What I really noticed is it's like, so South Carolina is obviously a run-heavy team. They went to a 4-3, which I thought was an interesting approach to this. Basically, to make up for that deficit at tackle, to coach around it, so to speak, they're reinforcing it with extra linebackers, which I thought is a interesting decision. I wonder if you'll be able to do that against teams that are more pass-happy. Are you going to have to maybe consider a 3-3-5? I thought they would look toward a 3-3-5, but we'll see. We'll get a better look sooner than we expected, because South Alabama's putting some points on the board. I don't know that. I'd be hard-pressed to tell you which one of those wins will be tougher, UCLA or South Alabama, the way they're playing.
I don't think they'll score 80 here, but they have done that in Louisiana, so we'll be leery of the Jaguars next week. These UCLA wide receivers are fairly talented, some say. I can't tell you. I've watched a ton of them, but they've gotten scholarship offers to Notre Dame and UCLA, and they just haven't gotten them involved. Are you concerned at all about their ability to throw the ball in LSU secondary?
I mean, look, with LSU secondary, you got to be worried about any receiver.
Sure.
I mean, that's that's just the name of the game at this point. They didn't go to the portal and get world beaters. They got some solid players. Jordan Gilbert, solid player, and a lot of guys who, need to grow up in front of our eyes. I think Zy Alexander was one of the bright spots last week. It was nice to see him back there, but there's no Patrick Peterson on this team. There's not even a Trey White, or frankly, there's no Ron Brooks. You know what I mean? Like, you would love to say that you see talented receivers and they can throw them down, but that's just not where they're at yet. We'll see when DJ Pickett comes to town and all those guys that Corey's getting after right now. But no, I mean, let's put it like this, okay? Their leading receiver has 5 catches. He got 26 yards. 133 yards on those 5 catches. But I think that Ethan Garber's kind of, I don't think he's been great at distributing the ball. So, yeah, that's the thing. Yes, you're probably going to give up some big plays that are frustrating, but I don't necessarily think it's because UCLA is a great passing team. It's more so that that's just the identity of this team. They make some aggressive plays. They play good sometimes, but, they give up a lot of big plays.
What do you say when Brian Kelly says, we were really close? If we don't give up those 2 60-yard runs and we've got a guy right there in that hole, we hold him under 250 yards of offense. Like, what's your reaction to that?
I'd say he needs to find someone who can get the guy in that hole, don't you think? It seems like he's look, here's the deal, man. Last year, this defense was getting gouged, and you would see just a litany of issues. Guys loafing around, trotting, not giving full effort. You got 2 defensive linemen lying 2 yards off the ball. And this year, I will admit, the issues do seem to be single-fold. Like, you've got a guy one-on-one in the box, and he's not able to make the tackle, or he gets beat to the outside, and he's just off to the races at that point. It is more single-man issues. I agree with him on that. That being said, I mean, you can also scheme your defense a little bit better to make sure you don't – if your guys aren't good at making tackles one-on-one, why don't we set things up to get them a little help, call that defense a little differently? And I think that this defense is a little more aggressive in nature than it was a year ago, and we're seeing them make big plays, and that's kind of what's causing that situation. So I guess the root of this all is you have to be a little more aggressive, and you don't quite have the guys. When you call an aggressive defense, things like you put guys on island, whether that be your linebackers one-on-one tackle or your corners in coverage. And that's the thing, is you got to have the dudes to run that. LSU got away with that for years with John Chavis because they had the guys I was just telling you about, Mo Claiborne, Patrick Peterson, Tyrann Mathieu. Those guys all were in the same defensive backfield one year. So, yes, you can get away with some aggressive things. And this defense, I just don't think has the guys to do it this year.
I mean, I was just saying to somebody earlier this week, I was like, if they just had like Thorold Simon and Jalen Mills, I'm not asking for Peterson and Claiborne and Stingley and Fulton immediately, but like if you just had couple of guys who were going to be 3rd-round picks that you knew you could send out there that were gonna hold their own. They just don't quite have that. I think it's going to come. I think that day will come soon. It's just not going to come tomorrow.
Dude, Ron Brooks would be an All-American on this team, man. Ron Brooks picked a really bad age to be Ron Brooks. Yeah. That's one of those things I look back to. He never started at LSU, signed Tyrann Mathieu getting suspended.
That's right.
My God, what a good, like one of those guys throughout the years that just like weren't as good as some of the best DBs LSU's ever seen. It'd be great to just get one of those backups on this team, don't you think?
Oh, there's no doubt. That's what I'm saying. So what's the most important aspect besides winning tomorrow for you as you're watching the game?
Let's see. Besides winning, well, it's a distant second. There's no doubt about that. But here's the deal. Can you run the ball with consistency? I think this defense is what it is, and Blake Baker's mostly doing the best job he can with what he's got. Okay? This offense, though, I think really does have the pieces in place to be elite. I mean, really good. And they've been just kind of good, and at times not good, right? But Nussmeier, I mean, he is wheeling and dealing. He actually leads the SEC in touchdowns and completions. If they can just get a consistent running game, right? Just you 3rd and 2, and you can trust a guy to run the ball and develop an identity running the ball. That would just really, really improve this team in a big kind of way, because all of a sudden, instead of like, okay, well, you had 2 completions, and now it's 3rd and short, but it's less than 50% chance to keep the drive going. If you can get that up higher, all of a sudden this offense has a lot more at bat. Just overall, you got to convert short yardage situations, and you got to put yourself in manageable downs and distances. And right now, we haven't seen it so far outside of a few runs from Caden Durham last game. I'd like to really see that. That's my distant second to winning.
We'll see if we see it. You can find Preston Guy a lot of places. TigerBait.com right here every Friday at 1:15, of course, and on Monday nights on the TigerBait YouTube channel. Preston, have a great weekend. We appreciate it, man.
All right, see you then, Hunt.
He's Preston Guy, TigerBait.com, with us every single Friday. We come back and get you ready for the NFL slate to come. Big weekend in the National Football League. We're talking about it next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Palmer's had a great house. We loved it. We just hated the closets. It was a bad scene. But we knew we were going to move, and when we did, we prioritized in our search a better closet situation. I didn't really care that much. My wife cared a lot. And we did move. We prioritized that. We've got a great closet situation, and now she's a lot happier. And that's a good thing for me, too. If you're in that situation but you're not in a hurry to move, well, just improve your closet situation right here with One Bath and Closets. Go to the website, One Bath and Closets. You'll see testimonials from a ton of satisfied clients. David Duvall and his team are first class. They're professional. They're fantastic to work for, and you're going to be thrilled with the final product. It's going to be customized to your needs. It's going to be functional for you, and it's going to look gorgeous. They can promise that they're going to do it right the first time and lead the competition behind. Far too often, contractors go quickly. They're trying to get to the next job. They'll come back 2-3 weeks later and fix the 2 or 3 things that weren't done. That's not going to happen with One Bath and Closets. They're going to get it right the first time and leave that competition behind. Go to the website, as I mentioned, onebathandclosets.com. Look at the pictures of their great work. Request that free consultation with David Duvall and his team at One Bath and Closets, and get that project started. Brand new closet. Maybe you don't need a brand new closet. You just need to use your space more efficiently. They can get in there and help you out with all of that as well. It's One Bath and Closets. Check them out online, onebathandclosets.com.
It's an everyday thing here. We work horses in the mornings and we work on the property during the day, and without these John Deere tractors, it'd almost be impossible to keep up with the place. I've dealt with some of the other colors and stuff, and I never really got the response back that I get from John Deere, We really enjoy dealing with Sunshine. They're good people. They always check on us and make sure our equipment's running, and we love them. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Good news for Saints fans. Taysom Hill back at practice today. Looks like they've avoided any significant injury there. Kind of a scary situation. Taysom taking that chest injury, went to the hospital after the game with New Orleans. And we talked about it a little earlier this week that it's just that's a guy that you lose him. It's more than just one guy because it's so many different roles that you lose, and the unpredictability of the Saints offense takes a real hit when he's not out there. He has practiced, and so hopefully now, just 2 days before kickoff with LSU with the Saints and Philly, Taysom Hill is available to go in the game on Sunday. We'll have a little bit more Saints talk in the second hour. You get my final pick for the Saints game about an hour and 15, 20 minutes from right now. But for right now, let's get you ready for Sunday's NFL action. All right, we start in Tier 4. You know it by now. This is the worst action, and really the Panthers kind of live in Tier 4. That's kind of where they hang out because they're really not good. And they play the Raiders in Vegas on Sunday. Bryce Young is sitting. The Red Rifle is in. Carolina has the second worst run defense in the NFL. The Raiders have the worst run offense in the NFL, so that should be quite a treat to watch. Brock Bowers has set the rookie record for catches and yards through 2 games. That's good for me because I have him on my fantasy team in a keeper league. However, I've sat him on the bench the last 2 weeks, which is not great for me. We'll see if we learn from that coming up on Sunday. All right, Tier 3, a lot of football in this one. 5 games to talk about here. The Giants are at the Browns. Deshaun Watson has not thrown for 300-plus yards in his last 13 games. Everybody throws for 300 yards in the NFL. That is not very good. However, the Browns are 6-1 against the spread in their last 7 home games. So see if they can keep that going against the bad Giants. Packers are at the Titans. Right, Jordan Love is questionable with a knee injury. Malik Willis would be next against his former team if Love can't go. Will Levis has made crippling turnovers the last 2 weeks to lose games for Tennessee. We'll see if he does it again in a home game against the Packers.
Did you see that play?
He's bad. He's not good. He was not good at Kentucky. He's not good now.
But did you see the play he did last week where he literally tried to, he was going to the ground and tried to toss it?
He's bad. He's not a good player. I don't know what else to say about the folks over there in Tennessee. The Bears are at the Colts. The Bears ran the ball for 1.6 yards per carry against the Texans outside of Caleb Williams scrambling. That's not helping your rookie quarterback out at all. Their offensive line is awful. Speaking of not very good, Anthony Richardson is completing 49% of his throws. That's the worst in the NFL. I know he's hit some big plays. I know he can run fast. I know he can throw it far. You have to complete passes. You can't throw them all to the line of scrimmage. You complete 85% of them for 2 yards, but completing 49% is not good. I'm just not a Richardson believer. We'll see how that works out. The Broncos are at the Bucs. This is also in Tier 3. Look, Bo Nix, God bless him, it's not going great for Sean Payton. Against the blitz, Bo Nix has these statistics. 35% completion, that's not good. 1.3 yards per attempt, also not good. 0 touchdowns, not good. 3 interceptions, not good. That's all against the blitz. The Bucs blitz the second most in the NFL. Look out, Bo. The Dolphins are at the Seahawks. Skylar Thompson's season as Tua is dealing with another concussion. And Skylar Thompson's 2 starts, not good for Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Waddle in 2 games has 8 catches for 88 yards, and Tyreek Hill has 9 catches for 92 yards. Those guys are averaging about 45 yards a game when Skylar Thompson's in there. That is not good as the Dolphins go all the way up to Seattle. All right, Tier 2, we're getting to the good stuff here. The Texans are at the Vikings. The Texans and Vikings swapped edge rushers. Daniil Hunter went to Houston. Jonathan Grenard and Blake Cashman went to Minnesota. The top 2 teams in sack rate in the NFL, those 2, and they switched edge rushers. An interesting little deal there. The Chargers are at the Steelers. J.K. Dobbins for the Chargers leads the NFL in rushing at 9.9 yards per carry. He's first just ahead of Alvin Kamara in yards before contact. Justin Herbert has thrown for under 200 yards in both games, and the Chargers are 2-0. The Harbaugh effect. He just wants to run the football, and that is what they're doing. The Ravens are at the Cowboys. The Cowboys are 1-5 against Baltimore all time. That is the worst mark against any franchise in Cowboy history. Look, the Ravens lead the NFL in total yards, but they're 14th in points scored. That's why they're 0-2, but I don't think they're in big trouble because they are moving the football. The 49ers are at the Rams. No Cooper Kupp, no Puka Nacua, no Christian McCaffrey, no Deebo Samuel. It's like NBA load management, but injury style in this game. None of the stars are playing. The Rams would go to 0-3 if they lose this one. Last one in Tier 2. The Lions are at the Cardinals. Arizona is second in the NFL in scoring at this point. Marvin Harrison had 130 yards in the first quarter last week. That's more yards than his dad had in any game as a rookie. Pretty good go there for young Marvin Harrison Jr. And Sunday Night Football is our only Tier 1 game of the week. Patrick Mahomes can set a record for most wins in his first 100 starts with 77. Beck, who do you think Patrick Mahomes would break in terms of a record in wins for your first 100 start if he wins on Sunday Night Football?
Maybe Tom Brady.
That is correct. Patrick Mahomes would get to 77, and that would top Tom Brady. That is your look at the National Football League for Sunday. 1 in Tier 4, 5 in Tier 3.
Perfect timing again.
That's it. 5 in Tier 2, and 1 in Tier 1. Mediocre week, but it's supposed to work off a bell curve, and it did. It actually worked off a perfect bell curve.
I'm guessing the Saints would be Tier 1.
Saints would be Tier 1 for this week. I'm going to give you my pick on that game, but you got a lot of my lean yesterday on the Eagles and their trend recently. It's not been very, very good, but I am curious about some aspects of that game. We'll get into some sound from Dennis Allen and Derek Carr coming up in hour number 2. All right, thank you all for hanging out with us here on this Friday. We're done with guests. It's just going to be us the rest of the way. My SEC picks against the spread. Still got to play some take it or leave it. Of course, we're going to get to our picks for LSU, UCLA, and the Saints and Eagles. Hopefully, it's a really good weekend down here in South Louisiana on a football front. Our Friday show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. We'll come back, talk a little more LSU and UCLA right here on The Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance, HighlandIG.com. You don't have to go very far back, just a little over a week, to sense that feeling of the hurricane that's coming in. And there may be another one out there. Hopefully not, but you never really know. That feeling can kind of be eased if you have the proper insurance. And Highland Insurance Group is here to help you with that. I was talking with Jonathan Carbo before we ever started up here with our partnership, and he was saying, look, we feel like we're an asset to our clients. We feel like we're part of the team with that business. If you're a business owner, you want to worry about running the business. You don't want to worry about what kind of losses you may suffer if a storm rolls through or if there's an accident that ends up not going very well. Like, you need to feel comfortable with that with your insurance. And that's why you get a great agent and you work with a great brokerage like Highland Insurance Group to make sure that you're not going to be adversely affected when something happens. That's what insurance is for. It's not fun to talk about because most people think it's costing a lot and you can't see what you're buying. But you realize that when those storms are coming in, like, man, I really hope that my insurance kicks in. They can help you with that at the Highland Insurance Group. Employment practices, liability, crime, cyber, D&O, umbrella, all those lines of coverage, they've got markets for you. They've got experience, and they can help you out with your insurance. They can also deal with your group or employee benefits. Check out their Google reviews. Over 100 of them. Do you spend a lot of time rating your insurance broker? No, usually doesn't happen. It does for the Highland Insurance Group because they take care of their clients. Call Jonathan Carbo and his team at Highland Insurance Group or check them out online at HighlandIG.com. It's the Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has back-to-school savings like $16,000 off 25 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $16,000 off. All new Bayou vehicles come with a complimentary extended warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The best.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Football Friday here on the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp. Got a text from my buddy Phil yesterday. Said also, that Corks place that you always talk about, it's damn good. I've been getting it a lot lately. I get that every time someone goes because it's awesome. I'll tell you this every week too on Fridays. If you ever get the hankering for a po' boy and you're like, man, where can I go get a po' boy in Baton Rouge? Corks has awesome po' boys. They got your catfish po' boys. They got your shrimp po' boys. They got your pork chop po' boys as well. I'm partial to the shrimp. That's my favorite. I love it with some mayonnaise, a little bit of lettuce for the
mayonnaise,
crunch.
huh?
And that's what I mean. Mayonnaise. Without mayonnaise, there is no sandwich in my estimation.
I think we all know that you're going to have mayonnaise on it. You
Yes,
don't have
I think
to tell
we do.
us that.
Well, look,
right?
I'm just trying to be transparent here. I'm trying to give all the details. When you
right.
cover a game, you got to get to the details. When you cover the sandwich, you got to get to the details.
All right.
Corks has a fantastic po' boy. I got them all at corksfishandshrimp.com. Go check it out. Get those delicious, crispy, crinkle-cut fries. And I kind of forget to mention the beignet bites, but it's a great little topper there for dessert, and kids absolutely love them as well. Like, I love them, and I'm not a kid, but my kid loves the beignet bites a ton. So get on by Corks. They're on Government Suite between Foster and Jefferson. Great sponsors here on the Hunt Palmer Show. We appreciate them for bringing our Friday shows each and every week. Talked mostly about the offense at the top of the hour with LSU football. And we talked mostly about the defense. And I think that UCLA has some functional pieces to their offense, but it as a whole isn't working because I think they hired the wrong offensive coordinator. They hired an offensive coordinator who's coaching Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, and they're trying to have him coach a bunch of college kids. I just don't think it's a good idea. And it didn't go very well in Washington either with Eric Bieniemy. So that's my thought on there. But I want to talk about LSU's offense a little bit here because hopefully they found a little bit of something in the ground game against South Carolina. Indiana had most of their success against UCLA throwing the ball, and I expect LSU to have a ton of success throwing the ball in the game if they want to tomorrow. But I'm interested in the running game, and I'm interested to see how the rotation goes. You know, we've seen seasons around here where freshmen have kind of taken the reins. Obviously, the most famous example of that is Justin Vincent in 2003. He kind of took over at South Carolina, as he tweeted at Caden Durham last week, and he was the guy later on in the season. As Charlie Hannegriff mentioned earlier this week, like JV didn't play in that famous Georgia game, which, by the way, was actually 21 years ago today, the Georgia game inside Tiger Stadium. But JV didn't play that game. It was the Chiron Carey show that day. And by the end of the season, when LSU played Georgia again in the SEC championship game, JV was the MVP. And we know he busted the long run against Oklahoma in the national championship game. And he took over that year as a freshman. We know that Leonard Fournette, as a freshman, kind of took the reins from Terrence McGee. really against Florida when he put that guy on a poster and ran him over, and by the time they got to A&M, it was kind of Leonard's show. And freshmen have taken over. Like Kenny Hilliard in 2011, it was really a lot of Spencer Ware early, a lot of Michael Ford early, and Hilliard kind of emerged late in that season as the guy when LSU beat Arkansas inside Tiger Stadium on that Friday. Hilliard was the guy that got most of the carries, and I'm curious if Caden Durham is primed for that. I still want to see some of Caleb Jackson. I'm not as quick to dismiss him as many. I don't know that he's too heavy. He could be. I'm not saying he's not. He could be. But I do know that he needs to get ahead of steam up. And the way this offensive line is blocking, he's not getting ahead of steam up. Caden Durham didn't need that. He's bouncing things outside. He's making guys miss. And I'd like to see some of that for Caleb Jackson too. But I don't think his style of running is conducive to the way that this offensive line plays and this offense moves. So let's see kind of what that rotation looks like. I think there are some people this week that said, hey, give it to Caden Durham. Like Hester said that on the morning show, and I'm fine with that perfectly. I generally kind of yield to the side of the veteran, and I don't think they're just going to push Josh Williams to the side and say, hey, we'll see you later. I think he's going to play a lot. And obviously when they needed that touchdown from 2 yards out to win the game against South Carolina, Williams got that carry. But I'm curious about the running game for sure. I'm curious to see if they can get things moving in the right direction. It could be, I can paint you a picture tomorrow that makes people feel pretty good. If they run the ball well, if Nussmeier takes care of it, we know the pass protection is going to be pretty good, and the defense is kind of swarming but doesn't give up the big plays. You go into South Alabama in the bye and you feel, okay, I think maybe they're making progress. And that's the hope, right? You hope this staff can develop what they've got. I'm of the opinion that this group is not championship caliber. I don't think they are at corner. I don't think they are at safety. I don't think they are at defensive tackle. And I don't think their running game is good enough right now. And it's hard for me to think that all those things are going to click in and LSU's going to hit the ground running and just fly through the conference. And I don't think anybody's suggesting that I've seen. But I think you can feel a little bit better against UCLA. It's just easier to draw from that than it is these FCS games. So I'm hoping the running game gets involved. And I think it's possible. Again, these guys, this offensive line, Campbell, Dellinger, Frazier, Jones, those guys, take Chester out, obviously Turner was in, those guys ran the ball in Auburn last year. They ran the ball in Florida last year. They ran the ball at times. They ran it on Ole Miss. They ran it on State. I don't know if I would say they ran it on Florida because Jaden kind of did all that himself. That they did run the ball at times. It's not like these guys have been here for 3 years. They've been starting for 3 years, and LSU's never run the ball. They didn't run the ball on Bama. They didn't run the ball on Jared Verse and Braden Fisk and that Florida State front. They didn't run the ball on those 5 stars at Texas A&M. And that was my concern coming into the season. But against lesser teams, they did get a push. That needs to start in this game. I don't know if they got a great push on Saturday if Caden Durham was just making dudes miss. But they've got to start getting a push on some of these guys and letting these, I do believe that the backs are talented, start to run the ball. If the tight ends have got to be better, if they've got to get more creative in blocking schemes so they can bring a guy in motion that helps with the kick-out block, if you need to put Gabe Relaford back there in the wing tee, which got Beck all hot and bothered, then do it. But they need to be able to push the pile a little bit on UCLA. Again, the success that teams have had against UCLA and through 2 games has been in the passing game. Rourke lit them up from Indiana last week, and Hawaii was running that Timmy Chang run and shoot deal, and they moved the ball through the air. But I'm not as concerned with that because I know LSU can do that. I know Lacey can beat these guys. I know Mason Taylor can beat these guys. I know CJ Daniels can beat these guys. And I think LSU can feast on the outside, and they will at times. But I'm also kind of looking at the running game, and I don't know what it says about me or the team that I've written 3 columns in 3 games for LouisianaSports.net post-game, and they've all kind of revolved around the running game, 2 negatively and 1 positively. But it just feels like that's the missing piece I'm most confident in them fixing. I'm more confident they can run the ball than I am that the defensive tackles are going to be studs. I'm more confident they can run the ball than I am that these corners are going to become DBU. I'm more confident in Campbell, Frazier, Dellinger, and Jones, and Durham, and Williams, and Jackson than I am in those other position groups. And it needs to start now. This is the middle of that run that we talked about since they walked off the field in Vegas, where they got a month to get their head right and get moving forward until Ole Miss comes to town. And guess what? That's going to be a real test. And you can't beat Ole Miss on Saturday, but you can take steps in the right direction. And we're very, very hopeful that Brian Kelly can get his guys to do that Joe Sloan can get his guys to do that Brad Davis and Frank Wilson can get their guys to do that. That's a big, big deal in this game. I don't know what the rotation is going to look like. I don't really care. Just get a push and run the ball. That's it for hour number 1 here in a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Open things off talking about LSU needing to start fast in this game against UCLA. You can find that at Hunt on LSU on YouTube. Preston Guy, TigerBait.com is with us as well. Plus, we set the table for the NFL Sunday to come. You can catch that on demand wherever you find your sound. We'll step aside for Sports Center. I got to get some picks right. SEC picks against the number. My final picks in an hour. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. Patriots coach Gerard Mayo says Jacoby Brissett is still his starting quarterback. Brissett threw for only 98 yards. He was sacked 5 times and hit 15 times in last night's loss to the Jets. ESPN's Mina Kimes agrees Brissett should stay on the job.
It's best for Drake May's development because what we saw last night, the amount of pressure that Jacoby Brissett was under, both when he was blitzed and unblitzed, the offensive line struggles, with Coach Mayo alluded to there in terms of picking up some of those pressures.
Mina Kimes, rookie Drake May did play for one drive in the fourth quarter. Dolphins coach Mike McDaniel says running back Raheem Mostert is a long shot to play Sunday against the Seahawks. Mostert sustained a chest injury in the opener. The 76ers will sign Joel Embiid to a 3-year max contract extension. ESPN's Ramona Shelburne reports it's worth $193 million. The Columbus Blue Jackets named former player Rick Nash as the new team president. He's still the franchise leader in goals and assists.
Here's one stat that's super simple to remember. Discover automatically doubles the cash back on your credit card at the end of your first year with Cashback Match. With Discover, you could turn $150 cash back to $300. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour number 2, Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Football Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. If you're not aware, Football Friday coverage on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge starts early and finishes real late every single Friday. Got the guys starting on OTB from 7 to 10 a.m. Live at lunch cranks up an hour from Rufino's on Football Fridays. They go from 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock. I'm right here from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock on the Hunt Palmer Show. Matt Moscona, AFR, from 3 to 6. And Matt hands it off to Cade Wasson and his cast of thousands for Louisiana Prep Preview at 6 o'clock. They get you ready for Catholic High football until about 6:45. Got the call of the Catholic game right here. They got U High tonight, big time.
Yeah, U High's going to win.
Oh, that seems like a biased pick right there.
No, not at all.
Okay, all right. I think U High won last year, didn't they?
No, they didn't, actually.
I thought that's what Hester said this morning, that they won last year.
Maybe it was 2 years ago. I thought maybe, I don't know how many years in a row they've been
Proud
playing.
alum. Doesn't even know.
I know.
Either way, that's
Pretty
what the
sad.
game is tonight. When that one goes final, back here to KWASAN for Louisiana Prep scoreboard until late into the night. So if you're looking for your high school football coverage here in the capital city, we got you right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Still plenty to do over the next hour for us here at the Hunt Palmer Show. Going to get some sound from the folks in Saints Land. Got a report up from practice today as well. We'll get you caught up on injuries. Got to play take it or leave it. And then my final picks coming up at the end of this hour for Saints and Eagles and LSU and UCLA. But for right now, it's time to start picking some SEC games. All right, to this point, we're 19-20. We're one game under 500. We can do better than that. We can be an above 500 squad here. And by squad, I mean me personally by myself. All right, number one. It's an 11 o'clock kickoff, Florida and Mississippi State. This is the Tears Bowl. This is the Sad People Bowl. This is Bad News Bears Bowl. This is awful football, but I'm kind of into it. Florida at Mississippi State. State is catching 7 here. Florida has lost 7 of the last 8 games. They've allowed 33-plus to 7 of the last 8 FBS teams they have played. Defense has been awful. Speaking of awful, Mississippi State has been outscored 55-6 in the last 2 first halves against Arizona State and Toledo. Florida is a better team, but I got to hold my nose here and take Jeff Lebby, the first-year coach, over the lame duck than Billy Napier on the road. I don't know what the crowd's going to be like. I don't know how Mississippi State's going to get a stop or block anybody. Florida stinks on the offensive line as well. I'll take the 7 points here with Mississippi State. That is a bad game there in Starkville. 11:45, Ohio is at Kentucky. The Cats are favored by 20. This is a letdown spot for Kentucky. They played really hard in a great environment against Georgia last week. They lost, and they're not very good. Kentucky's throwing for 109 yards per game. That is dead last in the SEC. They are only New Mexico State, Army, and Air Force throw for less yards than Kentucky. They all run the option. They can't throw it. Give me Ohio. Give me the 20 points. Letdown spot. Ohio's got a chance. We're taking points here. 27 through the first 2 picks. Arkansas is at Auburn. Auburn's laying 2.5. I would really like to watch this game. I can't because LSU's playing, but I would like to watch this game because I think it's going to be hilarious. Auburn has turned the ball over 9 times. That's awful. They also gave up 6 yards per carry to New Mexico last week, and the Hogs can run it with JaQuinton Jackson. Give me the Hogs, plus 2.5. Coach Pittman, I think they're playing better than Auburn. Hugh Freeze is playing quarterback musical chairs. I don't love it. Give me Arkansas on the road, catching 2.5 there. Vanderbilt is at Missouri. That line is 20. Missouri's only got 2 passing touchdowns in 3 games. That's odd. Get Weiss and Bird the ball. They're really good. And Cook's not that bad. They should be throwing for more scores than they have. It's hard to lay 20 points against the 15th best team in the SEC,
Very
the
hard.
Vanderbilt Commodores. But I will. Give me Missouri. I will lay the 20 points right there. I think Vandy is not good. All right, here's the 6:30 game that everybody's looking at. Tennessee's number 6 in the country. They are rolling on offense. Oklahoma's number 15 in the country. They're catching 6.5 on their home field in Norman. Oklahoma has only been a home underdog 5 times since 1998. Heupel showed up as a student there in 1999. The Vols averaged 42.5 points per game in the first half this year. They're averaging 7 yards per carry on the ground. They ran for 250 on NC State. Everybody that's sharp, Lee Sterling, other folks that are sharp. I can't mention names because we're gonna hear a little bit of that later. But everybody's taking Oklahoma. I'm not. I think Tennessee is markedly better than Oklahoma. I think Brent Venables is a good defensive coordinator. I think Tennessee goes too fast for him to create all that. Yeah, Nico's never started on the road. We'll see. Give me the Vols. I'll lay the points on the road. Bowling Green is at Texas A&M. 22.5 is the number here. You know who Bowling Green's quarterback is, Jacob Beck?
I don't.
Connor Bazelak, former Missouri quarterback. And they played Penn State close last week. That's a pretty good two-step there. Penn State to Kyle Field for Bowling Green. Meanwhile, Marcel Green might have won this job for Texas A&M. He might be their starter the rest of the way. We'll see when Wigman can come back. 22.5 is the number here. I like Bowling Green. Good quarterback. I'm not certain about this A&M offense. I'll take all those points on Kyle Field. All right, 6:30 ESPN kickoff. Akron's at South Carolina. 27.5 is the number here. Sellers is very questionable in this game. You were watching when he sprained his ankle last week. That, to me, means he's out because he is worthless without his legs. If he can't run, then he's worthless. Akron lost 52-6 to Ohio State and 49-17 to Rutgers. I still like the points here because I don't think that Robbie Ashford's very good. Rutgers ran for 285 against Akron. That gives me some pause because South Carolina's just going to turn around and run the ball with Racket Sanders, but I'll take the 27.5. Give me Akron. Georgia Southern's at Ole Miss. 34.5. Is Vegas asleep? Is Vegas asleep? Ole Miss is going to score 70. Georgia Southern's not going to score 35. It's easy, Ole Miss. Boise State scored 56 on Georgia Southern. What's Ole Miss going to do? $1 million. Give me Ole Miss. That's a blind bet there at 34.5. And then ULM is at Texas. It's Arch season, 44. I thought about the fact that Texas is going to have their third-string quarterback out there when Arch is done. And do they really need to get him work? Does that matter at all? I thought about taking ULM, the Warhawks. I can't do it. I got to lay the 44
They're really
with
bad.
Texas. They're not good. Although, if you want to play the crazy game, ULM smashed UAB, and UAB played Arkansas close, who dominated Oklahoma State, who's decent. You get the point. You could play the transitive property game all day long and try to get to ULM, but I'm going to take Texas in that one. So give me the Horns minus the 44. So back, how are my picks? We got Mississippi State plus 7. I hate that one. Ohio plus 20. I love that one. Hogs plus 2.5. I love that one. Missouri laying 20. Tennessee minus 6.5. I love. Sorry, everybody else is on the other side of it. I love it. Bowling Green catching 22.5. I love. Zips catching 27.5. I don't necessarily love at South Carolina. Georgia Southern getting smoked by Ole Miss. I love that one. And then, with Texas, it could go either way, but I'll take the Horns.
I like all of these for the most part. The only one I don't like, of course, is Vandy. I do think Vandy is going to play well in this game. After
they usually play real well.
No, okay, look, they had a tough loss against Georgia State last week at Turner Field.
Say that again.
Say it again. They had a tough loss against Georgia State at Turner Field. Like I said, exactly. Turner Field was rocking, huh? That's a tough environment. No, I'm going.
So Cole Hamels used to tell me that all the time when he was taking the ball for the Phillies.
Yeah, of course. I think the Doors can keep it within 3 touchdowns. So that's the only one I don't hate.
Missouri needs to throw the ball.
They do.
Got Luther Burden out there.
They
Score
need
some
to.
touchdowns. They got work to do. That was a good effort against Boston College to win the game last week. But if you want to be a playoff team, you want to be a threat, you want to be better than everybody going, oh, nice job, Missouri, and patting you on the head, then go beat Vanderbilt by 45 points.
Yep, I love the Ohio pick there. They played Syracuse
Kentucky
really tight in the first game. Kentucky's not going offense.
And they got a huge letdown spot. So
Yep.
I like it. That's SEC picks against the number. What's your confidence level that I can go over 500 for the year? We were 2 games over 500 last year. We're 1 game under this year.
I think you get there this week. I think because
big week this week.
I think this is a big week for you, Hunt. I'm feeling good about it.
We like that. I love these football Fridays. They make me feel good. I like hearing that song, even though we don't hear it for SEC games anymore. I like the fact that everybody's coming to Baton Rouge. I like the fact that it's going to be a big game day tomorrow. I know that UCLA is not done so hot, but I get in a great mood on these football Fridays. If you're traveling into Baton Rouge from out of state, or maybe listen to us on game day as you get ready for the ball game on demand, stay safe out there and enjoy an awesome weekend. We still got to talk about the New Orleans Saints, who have a big one coming up in the Dome. We're going to get some sound from the Saints, some update on injuries as well. Still got to play some Take It or Leave It, and my picks are coming up in about 45 minutes. So don't go anywhere. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio Video Security Solutions, AVSSLA.com is the website. They were the best vendor at the Parade of Homes earlier this year, and there's a reason for that. It's because they do a fantastic job. If you're not going out to campus to watch LSU because you like to watch the game at home, but your home entertainment system could use maybe a little bit of a facelift. Get that TV mounted, get some surround sound, get the audio synced up between the kitchen, the living room, and the outdoor area to have game watching parties. They can do all that for you at Audio Video Security Solutions. They can do things you probably don't even know they can do. I mentioned one of them yesterday on the audio side. Myers loves to sit out in the backyard and hit the baseball all over the place, although I think he got stung by a bee yesterday, which is not great. It was not Audio Video Security Solutions' fault, but I think that did happen. I wasn't out there, but I think that did happen. He likes to be out there, and I can hit a button right there outside my back door that'll start playing 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. It's an incredible feature that they put in. I didn't even know that existed, but Mitchell Fisher and his team came out and made it happen for us. Follow them on Instagram, AVSS_BR. See some of the great capabilities that they have. They got great demonstrations of the capabilities they've got on the Instagram. You can check them out online, AVSSLA.com. It's my friends at Audio Video Security Solutions. Check them out, AVSSLA.com.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Early in my career it was because I was like, yes, we freaking won, we did. And it's like, oh crap, I do that so much. And it's like, at the end of the day, like, I'm genuine. Like when I said it last year, and I'm saying this year, like, it really doesn't matter. Every week is a new challenge. Every game, every play is a new challenge. And that's the beautiful thing about football is you get to put the ball down and go find out. And I said that last year. I say it this year. Like, it doesn't matter what we did the first 2 weeks. Philly don't care about that. They're coming in here trying to beat us in our home. And so for us, we get to put the ball down, and the work that we put in from the off season and then this week until Sunday, that's what's going to count.
That's Derek Carr talking about managing success as opposed to facing adversity. I think that was an interesting bite there at the beginning when he says early in my career we'd win. I'd be like, oh yeah, and then I'd be like, oh crap, it doesn't really matter. I think that's the biggest. Well, there's a lot of differences in the NFL and college football. One of the bigger differences is that it is truly so week to week in the NFL, and you can get smacked down by just about anybody. I don't know if the Panthers are doing a lot of smacking down these days. Just about anybody can do it. And like LSU can go out there against Nichols, and it just doesn't really matter. They play it as badly as they can play in that game, and it just doesn't really matter. And when you come to like Georgia, like they can do that against 80% of their schedule and get out alive, which they've done. They haven't lost an SEC game in 3 years because the talent disparity is so massive. It's just not the case in the NFL, as you're all very much aware. And so it's always a new challenge, and I think the Saints are positioned to handle that really well. Because you look at the guys they've got in that locker room, and while I have been saying all offseason that the age of the Saints roster is a negative, which it can be as far as performance goes, as far as preparation, Cam Jordan doesn't give a rip if the Saints are 2-0. Tyrann Mathieu does not care if the Saints are 2-0. Demario Davis does not care if the Saints are 2-0. Same thing goes for Marshawn Lattimore. Same thing goes for Alvin Kamara, Foster Moreau. Like, these guys have been around. These are old players. They know that some weeks are good, some weeks are not. They've all been, quote-unquote, upset, and they've all sprung upsets in their career. So I don't worry about the Saints dealing with success at all. I think they're going to be just fine as far as their preparation goes. The issue will be, can they keep up this level of play? And one thing's for sure, there are going to be some significant adjustments that go on this week in regards to the Saints offense, because we saw it against Carolina and it was just brand new to everybody. And we saw it against Dallas, and Micah Parsons said after the game, like, this is wild. And the question is, can the Saints, now that the Eagles have got 2 game tapes to look at, change things up? Now, Philly's had to change things up on the offense. They're a different team. If A.J. Brown doesn't play, and we don't expect him to, I think you can look at the ground game for Philadelphia being a big piece to what they want to do, and that's obvious because Jalen Hurts is as good a running quarterback as there is in the NFL, and Saquon Barkley is a phenomenal player. He went nuts for 3 touchdowns in that game down in Brazil, and he can do that any week. He's as talented a running back as there is in the NFL, especially when he's healthy, and he is right now. And Dennis Allen spoke on Wednesday about what Barkley adds to this already pretty dynamic Eagles offense.
I think Saquon's speed and explosiveness and the way that he
hits the hole downhill. When you watch it on tape, sometimes he just comes out of nowhere, and then next thing you know, he's 7 yards down the field. And so I think that makes it challenging. And so him being able to run the football, and then the quarterback at any time being able to pull the ball or get into some sort of spread out formation, whether it's a no back formation or a one back set, spread everybody out, get the defense spread out, and then run quarterback draws or quarterback lead plays and things of that nature. They know what they're doing in the run game, and they utilize the players that they have exceptionally well.
The Saints are positioned nicely to handle the Eagles' running game from a running back perspective. You've still got some beef in the middle. You can move Cam Jordan down there. I think Brzee is playing very well. Obviously, you're missing Colin Saunders, but you got Demario Davis and Pete Werner, who are very good. I trust Granderson. You can get Chase Young in there. They've been good against the run, and I think they can handle that. It's the running quarterback piece to this that has been a bugaboo, as you all know, for a few years now. And Hurts himself has hurt the Saints with those legs, and they've got to find a way to corral that. There have been times where Philadelphia has tried to protect Hurts a little bit and not run him as much. And I don't know if early in the season they might lean on that side of caution. If they do, that's really good for the Saints. If they don't, it's something they've got to contend with. I think the Saints are fine on the outside with Devontae Smith out there and Goddard out there. They got plenty of safeties and, of course, corners that can play. It looks like Lattimore's going to be a go. And they're going to be okay stopping the pass, and I think they can do that with minimal numbers. They need to commit a lot of resources to the run in this game against Philadelphia, and if they do that, I think they're going to be okay slowing this offense down. As far as the Saints offense goes, you heard Dennis Allen talking about the explosiveness and the speed that Saquon Barkley has. One guy's got more of that than anybody else on the Saints offense, and it's Rashid Shaheed. And Derek Carr talked about Shaheed earlier in this week, about trusting him and basically throwing the ball up for him to go run under. And we've seen that happen twice now in the first 2 weeks, early in games. Hey, here's a shot play, and Shaheed's cashed both of them. Carr loves going to that guy.
He's proven to me, over the course of these last 2 years that he just consistently, will go make those plays. And there's obviously a time and a place for that. And what's that line? I wish there was a very definitive answer for that. There's a fine line there, but, you just hope that you make the right decision more times than not. And he just reminds me so much of, a guy like Henry Ruggs, who I played with in Vegas. There's just guys that can just do things like that it doesn't compute in your brain because that's not how you've been trained. God blessed him with different kind of speed to be able to outrun coverages like that. That's why I said when I came out of the fake, he was already up on the safety, and I just couldn't believe it. So I just gave him a chance.
Speed's a powerful thing. I mean, Miami's built an entire offense around it. It's crazy, and Shaheed adds that dimension, obviously, to New Orleans, and Derek Carr trusts him now to put that ball up there. I can't remember what game it was last year, but you'll all remember if you were watching, where the Saints were in a position to take the ball and finish the game offensively with the lead. And Carr looked at Shaheed and said, just run. And it was a third down.
I think that was the first game of the season.
Was it against Tennessee?
Yeah,
and he said, just run. And he hit him. They did that in that game. They did it twice last year in a late fourth quarter situation, converting on a big play when the other team didn't have timeouts left and you could finish the game. And they made that happen. Trust between a wide receiver and a quarterback, it takes time to build. And Carr certainly got a ton of that with Shaheed. And he spoke about Shaheed's ability to kind of track balls, which is something that, that's an additional skill with the speed that he's got.
The best thing that he does is track the football. I can throw a ball, as high and as far as I want, and make it really hard for DBs when you throw it high to, follow the guy and still look for the ball, and he can track it and see it and go and find it, and he's even a guy that can see it, put his head down, hit another gear, and know where it's going to be. And I mean, that's just gift, man. That's hard to teach.
I don't like my odds personally of trying to run with Rashid Shaheed and then turn around trying to track the ball. I just don't know if I've got the ability anymore. Maybe in my early 20s.
So. Probably not then either.
No, because I weighed like 30 pounds more than I do now then. So probably not then either. That's an unenviable task for any NFL DB to try to run with him and track the football like Derek Carr is saying, and it's a well-made point. The Eagles have got Vic Fangio calling the defense. Apparently, there's a little bit of drama surrounding that situation. We'll get to that, but Dennis Allen spoke to Vic Fangio's longevity in the NFL.
He's been coaching defense for a long time at a high level and been a part of a lot of really good defenses. And you have to be doing something right to be able to do that. And you obviously have to be able to adjust and adapt because our league is constantly adjusting and adapting. I mean, I'm sure when he first started coaching defense in our league, it was, 2-back sets, pro formation, slot formation, and to now where you're getting a lot more of the athletic quarterback, all right, and you're seeing a lot more quarterback run schemes. I mean, yeah, you have to be able to adjust, and the fact that he's been able to have success over the course of time tells me that he's willing to adjust and adapt to the trends in the NFL and what his players can do well.
I can't substantiate these rumors and rumblings, but the word is at this point that Vic Fangio got the head coaching job with the Denver Broncos, and John Elway, who was running the Broncos at the time, wanted Gary Kubiak to be the offensive coordinator, and Vic Fangio took that job and nixed that immediately. And obviously, Kubiak wanted that job, and he was thrust to the side. And obviously now Clint, his son, is running the offense for New Orleans and is facing Fangio this weekend. Now, it's a juicy storyline to go, oh, this guy got my dad fired, got him out of a job. I'm going to run 60 points on this guy. And that's probably a little bit fabricated, probably a little bit of the media being salacious. But it's interesting to think about if Clint Kubiak did have the opportunity, as he's had the last 2 weeks, to really put the pedal down early in this game and throw up piles of points. My gut tells me it's not going to be as easy for the Saints to roll up points as it has been the first 2 weeks. Now, you look at the matchup statistically, and the Eagles have been gashed on the ground. The Saints have been as good as anybody on the ground. Alvin Kamara is second in the NFL in yards before contact. They've blocked it really well. He's run it really well. That's freed up Derek Carr to not necessarily have to throw for 325, just throw for 240 and 2 or 3 scores, and everybody's in a happy mood. I think that Philadelphia will have something for this Saints run game. But I do think at this point, I feel comfortable telling you that if they can do this again on Sunday, if they can score 35 on Sunday, if they can score 32, 33 on Sunday, I'll start to think, okay, this may be a top 3 or 4 offense in the NFL. Like I certainly would not dismiss that as I sit here today. I would not dismiss the Saints being a top 3 offense in the NFL, but I think you can rubber stamp it if you thrash Carolina, go to Dallas, run up $1 billion, score on 15 straight drives, then come out and substantiate it again with 2 weeks on tape for Philly to look at and go, okay, here we are. At that point, I'm kind of done questioning it. That doesn't mean they're going to win the Super Bowl. It doesn't mean they're going to win the South. It doesn't mean they're going to win 14 games. But it means that they have made real changes that are sinking in, and it's not just catching the league by surprise anymore. There's enough on tape for teams to understand what the Saints are trying to do offensively. If you go out and do that again against Philly, and have done that against Philly and Dallas, playoff teams from last year, with a lot of the same personnel, not all of it, but a lot of the same personnel, I mean, it starts to get real. I think everybody's confident and comfortable down here in South Louisiana. Everybody thinks that things are really good, but we don't all know. 2 weeks is 2 weeks in the NFL. You could just as easily do this in weeks 9 and 10, and it'd just be 2 nice weeks if you already had 4 losses, and you'd kind of maybe brush it off a little bit more. But because it's the first 2 weeks out of the gate, and it's the only thing we have to go on, it's like, oh, this is something. If they can rubber stamp it. I told you entering last week, I called the first week a birdie. If you can validate that with a par the next week, then that's good. They validated it with an eagle. You go out there and make just a par this week, hang 30 on them. All right, I'm in. I'll get in the car. I'm on the ride. Black and gold Super Bowl. Let's hope. I'm excited. The thing I'm most excited for, as I've said many times this week, is just the environment in that Superdome on Sunday. I won't be there, but that's something that you Saints fans have not had for a few years and that you deserve because you're one of the best fan bases in the National Football League. And this thing's cyclical, and you had COVID, and then you're the best player in the history of the franchise and the best coach in the history of the franchise, bailed on back-to-back seasons, and you're trying to reborn, and it just hasn't happened yet. Maybe this is it. I'm hopeful, but it should be an incredible atmosphere in the Dome on Sunday. I'll make my final pick coming up here in about 15 minutes. We'll step aside when we come back. Some take it or leave it. Still picks to come. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Evolve Physical Therapy. EvolvePT.com is that website. If you've got pain, no matter what it's from, and you're an active person, Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports needs to be your one-stop shop. Robbie Bolton's been doing this for 2 decades. He can help you rehabilitate. If you were injured, you went and saw a physician and they sent you somewhere for physical therapy and you went in there and they said, here's some exercises that you can do for that. And they said, we'll see you next week, or let me go run some paperwork. I'll be back in 45 minutes, see how you're doing. That's not rehab. Rehab is hands-on. Rehab is isokinetic testing to measure the strength returning. Rehab is dry needling. Rehab is cupping, scraping. That's what they can do for you at Evolve Physical Therapy. Don't pay somebody cash to go get a massage. You can use insurance, get it at Evolve Physical Therapy to make sure things are moving in the right direction. Their only concern at Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports is that you get back to being your active self, whether you're a 9-year-old gymnast and a youth athlete or a 65-year-old trying to get back on the golf course. You're not lifting weights because you got pain. Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports. They're on Starring near Highland Road. Go see them. Go see Robbie Bolton and his team. It's Evolve Physical Therapy and Sports, evolvept.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
You're listening to The Hun Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
The NFL is back. Tune in Sunday at noon as the Vikings host the Texans, followed by the Ravens and Cowboys at 3:25, and the Chiefs and Falcons at 7:20 p.m. Your home for the NFL is 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Reminder about our game day programming. Try to do that once per hour on Fridays. For those of you that want to lock us in tomorrow, 9:30, Rouse's Burbank and Lee. It is Eagle 98.1 game day. Charles Hannegriff and Matt Musso will join you from that Rouse's. They'll be with you for 3 hours, getting you ready for LSU and UCLA. At 12:30, they'll hand it off to me on the LSU Sports Radio Network. It'll be myself and Marlon Favorite from between the ramps of the Assembly Center. By the way, come on by and say hey. I always appreciate when y'all do that. Except one guy. It was a little bit much, but that's okay.
Oh.
It's okay. Just one time. It's been 7 years, so
okay.
Just one time.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got to expect that. 7 years.
I mean, look, it's 7 years.
A lot of liquid being consumed.
Courage, yeah, it's out there. Just happened once, and so we're good. But yeah, I want to see y'all say hey, come by and say hey. It always makes our show a little bit better when folks are a little bit interactive with us there. So always enjoy that. We'll be there from 12:30 until 2 o'clock. We hand it to the broadcast team of Chris Blair, Jacob Hester, and Gordy Rush at 2. They'll have the call of the game on Eagle 98.1. 30 minutes after it goes final, me and Big Fave will be in the Capital One studios over there at LSU for the Titan Tiger post-game report. And 90 minutes after the game goes final, from right here inside the Mercedes-Benz Baton Rouge studio, Charles Hannegriff and Richard Dixon for 2 hours taking your phone calls on Eagle 98.1's post-game show. So lock us in from 9:30 until probably about 10 o'clock at night coming up tomorrow. Should be a fun day. All right, let's play some Take It or Leave It.
All right, first one here. Miller Moss and the USC Trojans roll Michigan, who is making a quarterback change this week. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to roll them, but I think they win the game. I think USC's pretty good. I was pretty impressed with their defense, and then their defense went and threw a shutout against Utah State. I don't care about Utah State, but they wouldn't have shut them out last year. I can promise you that. So I think USC's good. Do I think they're going to win the Big Ten? I do not. But they were good when LSU played them. I think they will beat Michigan, who I don't have any faith in. I think Michigan's ship sailed with Jim Harbaugh and all those draft picks, and that's great for them that they won. But it's hard to get back to the top of that mountain.
All right, next one here. Utah invades Stillwater and takes control of the Big 12, getting a win over Oklahoma State. Take it or leave it.
Take it. I think Utah's better. Cam Rising, 416 years at Utah.
I think so, maybe.
But yeah. I was so unimpressed with Oklahoma State in that Arkansas game. That is, Arkansas gagged that 3 ways from Sunday.
Absolutely.
It was absolutely ridiculous. Muffin punts. The pick six was atrocious. Missing field goals. Going for inexplicable 4th and 5s. Just a terrible effort by Sam Pittman and the whole Arkansas program.
Not known for his coaching ability.
No, well, look, Coach, known for his beer drinking ability. Loves
he's
the lake.
He's a great encouraging coach.
He is. He's
not.
I would get on his boat in that in the Ozarks up there and cruise around and knock down a few coal boys with him. I don't want to make him my decision in the 4th quarter in Stillwater. They were bad decisions. I think Utah goes in there and wins the game.
All right, next one here. The Pac-12 are reportedly pursuing a trio of Tulane, Memphis, and USF to join the conference. And apparently this is what is hinging on whether or not they can actually get back to being a conference, according to Ross Dellinger. Take it or leave it.
I'll take it. It appears this is going to happen, and this is so bizarre to me. I'm going to talk about this more next week when we actually don't have a game day coming up, but I was listening to a podcast this morning when I was running, and they were talking about it, and I don't give any credence to a conference that has Oregon State, Washington State, Tulane, Memphis, South Florida. That's not any good. And so what's the point? Are we giving them an automatic spot in the college football playoff?
I can't imagine.
No, I don't see how that is significant. Does any television company want that? No, there are no people. I don't understand what we're accomplishing. What we're doing is destroying conferences. We're not creating anything of substance. We're destroying conferences. And so apparently...
to be fair, it was already destroyed. I mean,
right,
the
Boise
Pac-12
State
was
and San Diego State and all that are coming together. And apparently was Gonzaga once in to play basketball in there. And I'm out, man. I'm out. I don't care about this crap. I get to 2... Or don't, and if we're doing this 4 or 5 thing, I'm not going to give the Pac-12 a playoff spot because it's called the Pac-12 and USC used to play in it. No, go play in the kids' pool. I don't care about San Diego State football.
All right, moving on. Breakfast casserole at the tailgate. Take it or leave it.
I'm taking that.
Yeah,
I'll take breakfast casserole wherever you want to give
Honestly,
it to.
yeah, it could be for lunch or dinner. I don't care.
Unless I'm at like a 5-star steakhouse with potatoes au gratin and a ribeye that's on a buttered plate. Breakfast casserole work just fine with me. Like, I am all about it. I might make one of those tomorrow. I'm not going to rule that out.
All right.
We're looking for a hearty breakfast in the morning before we head to campus.
What kind of recipe we got going here, huh?
I'm more of like a meat lovers type deal. Like, I'll throw some spinach in there from time to time. Every once in a while, I'll get kind of loopy and I'll like throw asparagus or something in there. But that's a little fancy. My dad is going to be there who doesn't eat any vegetables ever. So if it's going to be breakfast casserole, it's going to have to be sausage, bacon, eggs, cheese.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with that at all. I think that may be happening. Rouse's Burbank and Lee may be getting a stop here in the next 2 hours.
All right, next one. The Cowboys will make the Ravens 0-3 on Sunday. Taylor Sharp would be very happy about that. Take it or leave it.
That game is in Dallas.
It is.
I gave you that stat in the table setter in the first hour where the Ravens are second in the NFL in total yards. They're 14th in scoring. That's not going to hold up.
No.
You're moving the ball, you're going to score. And so Baltimore is a favorite in that game. Is there a chance the Cowboys are not good?
I just can't foresee them putting up another dud like they did last week against the Saints. I just can't. I can't. Not in their own building. I can't. Maybe you can.
Well, look, after winning, what if they won like 13 in a row?
Yeah,
in there
exactly. So how could you ever expect that would happen?
I would call it a dud if they lost to the Raiders. This is the Ravens coming in.
That's true.
I think Baltimore wins the game.
Okay, fair enough. Last one here. Kirk Cousins and the Falcons will beat the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. The Chiefs not looking like their normal selves. Travis Kelce, only a few catches, I think, so far this season.
Getting older.
Take it or leave it. Taylor Swift, I think, not helping matters. Not so much to Cassie's chagrin.
You saying she's tiring him out?
I think he's got a lot of stress, and it's probably hard for him to just focus on football.
I guess, but like.
He still should be.
He didn't have any financial stress anyway, but like when you take it to that degree, what are you stressed about, man?
Yeah.
I mean, you got $1 billion. You're playing football. It's just, I don't know. Here's the better question: whether or not the Falcons are going to win, because I don't think they are. Are they going to have a great crowd in there for that game? Sunday Night Football, Mahomes. They won last week on the road.
I think they'll be pretty good. I mean, the Falcons. I'm not going to compare them to the fan base the Saints have, but the Falcons, when the Falcons are good, they show up to it.
They're usually not good, and they usually don't show up.
Correct, you're right. But that win last week, I think, may have gave them a little bit of energy. We'll see.
We shall see. I'll take the Chiefs. All right, that's it for Take It or Leave It here on this Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. We got one more break. We got one more segment. You know what the segment is. I'm picking Saints Eagles. I'm picking the Tigers and the Bruins. We'll do that when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electrical Services, boudreauxelectrical.com. Neil and Melissa have been running things for 40 years at Boudreaux's Electrical, just giving people the peace of mind. In this part of the world, in South Louisiana, hurricanes are an inevitability. It feels so much better in your home or at your office when you know you've got a Generac generator powered by Boudreaux's. Not even during the storm. Even if the storm goes through, but you still have a power outage that lasts 4 or 5 days. Well, if you've got a generator, you can be productive. You can be comfortable. It can make all the difference. It's not just homeowners. Boudreaux's Electrical is completely capable of handling your commercial needs. So if you're a commercial property owner, if you're a business owner, and you want to make sure the lights and air conditioning and internet are up and running, Generac generator may be exactly what you need, maybe multiple. And Boudreaux's Electrical can help you with that. They tailor all of their customers with exactly what they need. So they check your square footage. What do we need to power up? You make that happen with that Generac generator. Every single Generac generator that they sell you at Boudreaux's Electrical comes with a 7 to 10 year warranty. Reach out to them. Get that process started. Get that generator installed at your home or your business so you've got the peace of mind of knowing you're never going to be without power. It's Boudreaux's Electrical. Check them out online at boudreauxelectrical.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
All right, closing up shop here. Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Corks Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Always appreciate Corks for being our Friday sponsor here. Jumbo Gulf Shrimp. Awesome, awesome stuff over there. The crispy fried catfish, po' boys, tailgate platters, all of it. Check them out online at corksfishandshrimp.com. Corksfishandshrimp.com. We are live and local 7 a.m. to about 11:30 p.m. here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. So hang out with us all day long on your football Fridays, whether you're trying to work and get to the weekend, you're traveling into Baton Rouge to come see the Tigers play the Bruins, maybe if you're traveling down to New Orleans to watch the Saints and the Eagles. Thanks for locking us in on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Still got to do 2 more things. We got to make picks on these 2 games. It's going to be a crazy weekend down here in South Louisiana. It's a big name opponent for LSU with UCLA. A name that's never been inside Tiger Stadium. I don't know if the team's all that good, but it's still a cool sight to see UCLA coming out of that tunnel because it's something we've never seen before. And as far as the Saints and Philly, this is a game that I don't think a lot of people thought the Saints would be picked to win when the season kicked off. However, you sit there and look at it now, and you think the Saints have got a real chance to get it done. So all we got left to do is to pick these 2 football games. We start in the National Football League.
The New Orleans Saints, the Philadelphia Eagles. It's time for Hunt's final pick.
Look, this has been an incredible start for New Orleans. Incredible start for New Orleans. Offensively, defensively, even special teams have been good. And the Eagles have looked beatable dating back to last November. They just finished horribly last year, and they choked one away last week to Atlanta. Can the Saints continue that ground success that the Eagles have been giving up? I hope so. I think they probably will. But Eagles are good, and they've got a championship pedigree. That dome's going to be on fire, and I'm excited to see it. I think it's going to be a really close ball game, but I'm buying into what the Saints are doing right now. And I'm going to take the Saints to beat Philadelphia to go 3-0 by the final score of 30-27. Hurts is going to run a little bit. They're going to score some points. Devontae Smith's coming home. He'll be excited and fired up, but the Saints offense is going to score. And I think the defense matches up well on the outside with Philadelphia. Give me the Saints by a field goal, 30-27 on Sunday in the Dome. Let's talk college football now.
The LSU Tigers. The UCLA Bruins.
Look,
it's time for Hunt's final pick.
There we go. It's time for my final pick. We have broken this down every which way, and that's fine. I can sit here and talk to you about it because I know a lot about LSU football. I don't know as much about UCLA. You know who does? Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer, who joined us on Wednesday. Brian Finley, who joined Matt yesterday. We're going to hit those guys, break it down, and you tell me what you think about this matchup. We'll start with Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer, and I asked him how the vibes were with UCLA football.
I don't think they could be any worse at the moment.
Okay.
After a drubbing at the hands of Indiana to open Big Ten play, that's about as embarrassing as it gets for UCLA fans in football land.
That's one guy. He's the Locked On USC guy. How about the post-game show host? Completely different guy. Brian Finley, what do you think about the offensive line in this offense?
The problem is they're not getting any push on the offensive line. And this is a team that is a really good running back, and they're not able to exploit that. The pass protection might be the only thing that this team is okay at. Beyond that, you get tight ends, you get running backs that are trying to block, pick up guys that are rushing for the quarterback, and they're missing there's a lot of miscommunication going on, a lot of missed assignments, and the UCLA, their offense has scored over the first two games a total of 2 touchdowns, 1 touchdown per game. That is not going to get it done.
Okay, so the offensive line's not good and the vibes are bad. They got any guys that can play wide receiver?
They got Rico Flores, a transfer from Notre Dame, who is outstanding. They just can't get the ball to him. They've got Michael Sturdivant, a transfer from Cal, and they can't get the ball to them. They've got arguably one of the best wide receiver cores in the conference of the Big Ten, and they can't get the ball to them. They can't convert on third downs. They can't stay on the field. I think UCLA maybe converted 3 third downs on offense in their game against Indiana.
That's pretty bleak at wide receiver. Well, the quarterback, he's a fifth-year senior. Is he any good? Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer told us about him.
Well, the accuracy hasn't been there. The decision-making hasn't fully been there. It just hasn't planned out. He's not exactly the best deep ball thrower.
It's just the hits keep on coming. Well, they can't block. They can't get the ball to the wide receiver. The quarterback sucks. Well, defense, Brian Finley, do they have anybody that can play defense?
We have a lack of dudes on the line. We can't develop a pass rush.
Well, that's good. Got a lack of guys. They can't do any of that. So we've covered offensive line, quarterback, wide receivers okay, but they can't do any of that. I mean, Brian Finley, you host the post-game show for UCLA. What would be a win for you?
If UCLA goes into the fourth quarter and they're within 2 touchdowns, I'm going to be very, very happy.
Yo, things are real bleak in Westwood right now, y'all. Real bleak. I think they've hired a bad coach. I think they've hired a bad offensive coordinator. And I think they are on teetering mentally on shutting this thing down real early. Hawaii's awful. They went to Sam Houston and got smacked. And UCLA needed a field goal to beat them at the end. And I don't know what Indiana is, but I don't think they're great. And we saw how that game went. That being said, I do think UCLA's skill guys on the edges are capable of making plays if LSU is out of position or does something like they've done for a year and a half. I'm not ready to give LSU's defense the benefit of the doubt and say, hey, they're going to go out there like the defenses I've known for 20 years. They're going to take this crappy football team and stuff them in a locker. I'm just not ready to do that with LSU's defense. I do think UCLA will score some. LSU will score more, 40-20 LSU. That's my pick for this one. I would love it if they won the game 56-10. I would love that. That would be progress. I'm not ready to give LSU's defense that benefit of the doubt just yet. They got to earn it. That's just the facts. Nichols went up and down the field and scored. We know that South Carolina busted huge plays. We know that Miller Moss carved them up. UCLA stinks. Go out there in front of your home crowd and take it to these guys. That's what needs to happen for LSU. I think when we come back on Monday, it is a victory Monday for the Saints and LSU, and that'll be really exciting around here. Maybe more so on the Saints side, but definitely a good deal for LSU as well, as they are kind of getting closer and closer to setting up a big-time matchup with Ole Miss on a Saturday night in Death Valley. So have an awesome day on campus tomorrow. Come see us out on the pregame show starting at 12:30. Should be a warm one, but a sunny one, and you only get 7 of these on the calendar year, so enjoy that one out there on campus at LSU. We've done all we can do here on the Hunt Palmer Show. We appreciate Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp for bringing you our Friday shows each and every week, but we're not done on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Matt Mosconi's going to drive you home on After Further Review, and stay tuned. Cade Wasson and his cast of thousands have high school football coverage for you from 6 o'clock up until nearly midnight. Have a wonderful, safe, and happy weekend. Come on, Tigers. Come on, Saints. Matt's going to take you home. We'll be back Monday on the Hunt Palmer Show.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work